According to a lawmaker who reviewed unredacted sections of the files, there could be dozens of prosecutable crimes inside the Jeffrey Epstein documents, dozens of potential cases, and yet not a single investigation had been opened, not one, and under Pam Bondi's oversight. Despite having full access to those files and the legal authority to act, the Department of Justice reportedly launched 0 new criminal investigations into individuals named in those records. And when you place that alongside everything else, the situation becomes even more striking, as she claimed the client list was on her desk, missed the legal deadline to release the documents, redacted powerful names while exposing vulnerable ones, defied a bipartisan subpoena, and avoided testimony through a technical argument. And through all of that, there was not a single new criminal case, not one person held accountable, and not one name fully brought into the open. And then just 45 minutes after a contempt resolution was filed, Republicans on the committee suddenly announced that Pam Bondi would testify, confirming May 29th as the date, meaning Democrats did not need to wait days, go to federal court, or escalate further. Because within less than an hour of the contempt move, the date appeared, and as some lawmakers pointed out, that timing revealed how the pressure worked, suggesting Bondi did not agree to testify out of duty, but because the alternative became more serious. And while that upcoming testimony is significant, it is only part of the story, because to understand what she is walking into, it is necessary to look back at her February 2026 congressional hearing, which lasted more than 5 hours, during which it became increasingly clear that she avoided discussing the Epstein file directly, often redirecting questions, criticizing Democratic lawmakers as theatrical while raising her own voice, and even expressing surprise that a congresswoman would focus on Epstein instead of other issues, while also refusing to apologize to survivors seated behind her, despite repeated requests from lawmakers asking her to turn and address them. Moments that collapsed into disorder as proceedings were interrupted, and even Thomas Massie, a Republican from Kentucky and co-author of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the law that required the Department of Justice to release all materials by December 19, 2025, strongly criticized Bondi over the redactions, mentioning specific names that had been concealed, including billionaire Les Wexner, who had previously been referenced by the FBI in connection to Epstein. And Bondi's response to that criticism was to accuse Massie of political bias, even though he helped write the very law she was responsible for enforcing. And that exchange reflects the environment investigators and oversight officials are now dealing with as they approach the May 29th testimony, which is now further complicated by additional reports that surfaced after Bondi left her position, including a report by the Wall Street Journal claiming that among the Epstein documents was a birthday letter linked to Donald Trump, along with FBI video footage from the night of Epstein's death that had been described as raw and unedited, but later showed metadata suggesting it had been altered with nearly 3 minutes missing, and when these elements are combined, including a missing client list too. 5 million unreleased files, modified prison footage, and an attorney general who said the list was on her desk before later changing her position. It becomes clear why both political sides pushed for her testimony, and now Bondi faces a very different setting compared to the earlier hearing, as this will be a closed-door transcribed interview where every word is recorded without interruptions, without a gavel to cut off questions, and without the ability to deflect through noise, leaving only documents, direct questions, and permanent answers. And this is not unfamiliar territory for her, as during her time as Florida's Attorney General, her office received a $25,000 donation from the Trump Foundation shortly before declining to join a multi-state investigation into Trump University, a controversy that followed her for years and demonstrated how documents can shape public narratives around decisions. And she understands how those records resurface in hearings, and how questions about what she knew, what she did, and when she knew it do not disappear with time. And what makes this moment larger than just one individual is that the Epstein files are not only about one man's crimes, but about a broader system of protection that may have extended through powerful institutions including banks, law firms, intelligence agencies, and political offices, with each delay, redaction, missed deadline, or withheld document representing a decision made by specific people to protect specific interests. And for over a year, Bondi stood at the center of that system with access, authority, and a legal obligation under a law passed by Congress and signed into effect. Yet the deadline was missed. Powerful names were redacted, vulnerable individuals were exposed, and conflicting statements were made about the existence of key lists. And now, all of that leads into one moment on May 29th, where the documents, the questions, and the official record will come together with Pam Bondi present, the same person who dismissed the issue as theatrics, declined to face survivors, and argued that a subpoena could lose force based on technicalities. And none of those strategies ultimately prevented this moment, as the contempt resolution produced a testimony date in under an hour, showing how close she came to avoiding it. And now everything she says will become part of the permanent record, with every response, every uncertainty, and every attempt to define what she knew or approved being measured against documents, previous statements, metadata evidence, and the millions of unreleased files, alongside the assertion from lawmakers that dozens of prosecutable crimes exist within those records without a single investigation opened. And that statement will remain part of the record alongside her testimony, because for over a year she was protecting something, and now the question is what that protection cost, as the moment she sought to avoid has arrived without delays, without procedural shields, and without interruptions, leaving only the chair, the documents, and the questions waiting. And on May 29th, Pam Bondi will face all of it, everything that was avoided, redacted, promised, or left unanswered. Because in situations like this, the past does not stay buried, it returns. And this time, there is no way around it. So stay close, because what emerges from that room may be larger than